Representative Gibbs.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, just to follow up a little bit on Congressman Crawford's questions. My understanding, the Federal Transit Authority recently put out guidance to at least one of their regional offices that suggests transit grants recipients through OMB regulations are allowed the federal resources to help cover material cost increases from previously negotiated contracts. Have similar memos gone out for highway and other offices?
I would have to get back to you on mode by mode how each of the different operating administrations is trying to accommodate those things that are taking place.
You can concur that the Federal Transit Authority has done that?
I'll make sure, but I certainly don't know anything that would contradict that.
Okay, thank you. Also, do you agree that investing in federal port infrastructure dollars in improving efficiency, including automation and new technologies, would help improve port operations and relieve supply chain bottlenecks?
We strongly believe in funding port infrastructure that will make a positive difference to both the port's ability to move goods and to the surrounding community.
Are you aware that there's currently restrictions on using federal dollars for these purposes, for automation and basically automation infrastructure?
So as you likely know, there is a lot of difference of opinion and difference in the research on where automation in fact yields to productivity increases and where it doesn't. And there's quite a bit of skepticism about how that could work in the U.S. context. That said, there are so many things that we can invest in and are investing in that unquestionably benefit the efficiency and the throughput of ports. For example, with the Port Infrastructure Development Program in the last round, we sent about $52 million to Long Beach. That's going to allow them to build about 10,000 additional feet of on-dock rail, which helps you without having to wait for a chassis or have the truck go between, get those containers on their way. And we're going to continue to look for ways to support throughput, again, hopefully in a fashion that also benefits the surrounding community.
Well, I would think, sometimes there's always some resistance to automation and new technologies because of labor issues and all that. And all you can think of it, if historically, where would we be in the agricultural community if we resisted automation? Where would we be if we protected the phone operators back in the 70s? The new technologies come about from that. So, I think historically, technology has maybe jobs have gone by the wayside, but then in addition, but the result is different new jobs, higher paying jobs, for improving standard of living. So I think that's a thing to keep in the back of your head. That automation is sometimes tough, but it's usually the correct way to go. It's, at least historically and across many sectors of our economy. You may be aware that pipelines are one of the safest and most efficient environmentally way to transport energy. Yet I'm concerned that this administration's anti-energy agenda at the time when gas prices and inflation have reached all-time highs. Congress back in 2020 passed bipartisan legislation to boost pipeline safety and efficiency. Can you please provide us an update on the implementation of this law that was passed 22 years ago?
Thank you. PHMSA has been hard at work making sure that the provisions of the PIPES Act are enacted, both in terms of making sure that we have the right kind of staffing to support it and the rulemakings that are called for in the legislation. I would be happy to get you more details, but the bottom line is that we will continue to meet our safety mission. Whatever other policy questions are being debated, and PHMSA has taken a number of steps to, I believe, enhance, even just in the time that, since the legislation was passed, to enhance our already very strong track record in terms of safety oversight.
I realize in your purview, safety is in your jurisdiction, but I don't think there's been really any pipelines permitted in this administration. Might not come under your purview, might come under the Army Corps, the EPA, but restricting this pipeline permitting access to exploration in the United States is limiting our exploration and our ability to produce more energy, because if you don't have the pipelines to put the natural gas in, they can't produce the wells. And so I just make that comment. Also, the Maritime Administration permits for deep water ports, that's the only thing they have a granting permit for. There's been a release of an environmental impact study. I understand the first release of the draft environmental impact study was to provide multiple language information in nearby communities, even though such information had already been provided part of the original DEIS. I guess this administration, if they meet all their permits, the applicant we meet all the environmental requirements are met, will the Maritime Administration provide a positive record of a decision on this?
So once applicants have fully satisfied the requirements of the EIS, then the Deepwater port can be licensed. I can tell you in the last 3 years, MARAD's engaged over 20 companies with interest in developing new facilities, with 8 deepwater port export applications that came in during that time. I believe 2 of those were withdrawn, but the remaining 6 are under review, and we'll review them according to the responsibilities that MARAD has under the law.
I just hope they meet the requirements that are approved. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. I would now turn